Good evening, Brian. It's Thursday for at least another 28 minutes. And you know what Thursday means? Thursday means it's time for a Thursday Top 5. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about trail running. So one of the first things I like is just the nature involved. You know, it's much more than being on a sidewalk or even on a greenway. It's you are out in the woods. Sometimes the trail is no more than like 10 or 8 or 10 inches wide, and it is a hiking trail through the woods. And being out there is just awesome. I mean, it really is like getting a hike and a run done at the same time. And you're out there and you're secluded, and there's, streams and rivers and lakes and hills and forests and undergrowth and animals. And it's just really neat to be out in nature like that, despite the fact that we're so close to civilization. It's still just really neat to be able to get out and be in nature like that. One of the second things I like is the distances that we end up running, for a couple of reasons that I guess I'll mention a little bit more in the rest of this, but it seems like we often end up doing longer distances on the trail than we do if we run on a greenway or a sidewalk or a street. Part of that I think is just that because when you're running through the trail, it's not a straight line from here to there. It is craggy and loopy and windy, and it goes all around and up and down and around curves and over to get to here. But the benefit of that is that since you can't look forward and see, okay, I'm running to this point, and I'm still running to this point, and I'm still running to this point, and I'm still running to this point, that feels like it takes forever. So when you're on a flatter area out in an open, it just seems like it takes so much longer to get to a place. Whereas when you're in the woods and you're running on the trails, it's like, oh wow, I've already done a half a mile. And because you're not constantly looking at what you're running towards, you're just sort of more in the moment. It tends to be that it goes by a little bit faster. This is sort of related to my third point in that the time feels a little bit shorter. Sometimes when I'm running on a treadmill especially, or on a sidewalk, I get to the point where I'm like, geez, I must have been running for like 10 or 12 minutes by now, and I look down and it's been 2 minutes. Whereas on the trail, the complete opposite happens. I feel like I must be getting to around the 10-minute mark or whatever, and I look down and it's been 28 minutes, because you just get so much more in the moment that you lose track of time and things go by a lot faster. Another thing I really like that is sort of related to both of those previous points is that the mental focus of trail running is just fantastic. You are in the moment the whole time, and you are focused and you're paying attention to what you're doing, but you also get to zone out and sort of have time to think about things that have been going on in your life, or sort of meditate a little bit. And that's really, really beneficial and really, really fun. And so having that sort of just, instead of constantly thinking like, oh, well, pretty soon I'm going to get to this intersection, and then when I get to this intersection, it'll be a quarter of a mile, and then I have another quarter mile to do until I get to that thing. And you're always thinking ahead, and you're always thinking about how much more do I have to do. When you're doing trail runs, it's a lot more of just being in the moment, and you're just looking at your feet, and you're looking at the terrain around you, and you can't think ahead or behind too much. You just sort of have to be in the moment. And it's really, really relaxing, and I always feel great after a trail run. I'm always in a fantastic mood. And the last thing I want to mention is that sometimes trail runs are nicer just because the terrain is a little bit more forgiving. Granted, you have roots and crags and hills and things to get over, but it is still really, really nice, and it's also a little bit easier on your body. The softer ground is a lot more forgiving and springy than hard pavement, and so I don't feel as sore after trail run. Even though Wednesday we did almost 7 miles, I don't feel as sore as I do after some 4 or 5 mile runs on a sidewalk, because it's so much more soft and supportive. So that's another great thing about the trail. So if you do start to get more into running, Brian, you should definitely check out doing some trail runs. I can definitely recommend some places, and I'd love to do them with you. And let me know what you think about this. I look forward to seeing your video tomorrow, and have a good night.